All right, everybody, welcome to the Backseat Huddle podcast, episode 74. Today, I am going to be talking about Bill Belichick because a lot of people are beginning to ask the question, is Bill Belichick the problem in New England? Which I think he is, and I've been saying so for about 5 months. I think the actual question is the issue in New England Bill Belichick the coach or Bill Belichick the GM? Because one of those two is the issue. And I think the issue is Bill Belichick, the GM. He is potentially the worst GM in the NFL, and the more research I did on it, the worse it looks. The problem with Bill Belichick isn't necessarily that he can't coach. I'll get to that later. The Patriots' current issue is they have no elite players, but they have no elite players because Bill's a terrible GM. So it becomes this chicken or the egg scenario where he can't win games because he has bad players, but he has bad players because he can't sign, trade, draft good players, so he can't win games. And it ends up becoming this circular thing. As a coach, he's still the greatest defensive coach ever, and he has done an excellent job of staying ahead of the curve defensively, but it's not a defensive league anymore. And as a GM, he's refused to acknowledge the changes the NFL has undergone in pivoting to an offensive game. We all know that the NFL is an offensive league that revolves around quarterbacks and skill position players. And everyone except Bill Belichick seems to know that and builds their roster as such, but not the Patriots. Let's take a look at some of the Patriots' recent draft trends. Since 2000, the Patriots have drafted as many kickers/punters as they have wide receivers. They've drafted one wide receiver before the 6th round, where they selected Tyquan Thornton in the second, who's well known as, who the fuck is Tyquan Thornton? 2 picks before the Steelers selected George Pickens. They also selected a kicker in the 5th round in 2020, 14 picks before Darnell Mooney was selected. Bill's draft record offensively is fucking terrible. Here's the 2 most recent offensive skill position players that the Patriots have drafted who have made a Pro Bowl. Mac Jones in 2020 and Rob Gronkowski in 2010. He's drafted 2 skill position players in 13 years who have made the Pro Bowl, and one of them was a fluke. Not only does Bill fail to find elite talent in the offensive side in the draft, he also makes shockingly poor decisions in free agency and hasn't made a single significant signing or trade for a skill position player. Here's some skill position players that have been available either by trade or via free agency since 2020. Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Christian McCaffrey, and DeAndre Hopkins. Twice. And there's also one other elite offensive player they already had on the roster that they let go. But we're not going to talk about that. And the worst of them all is that the Patriots traded a 5th round pick for Devontae Parker a month before the Browns traded for Amari Cooper for a 5th round pick. There's a lot more, but you guys get the point. So we know there's an issue with personnel, but Bill, as he has gotten older, his ego gets more involved with his decisions as well. I criticized Bill Belichick for having his head up his ass when he traded back in this year's draft to fuck the Jets so they wouldn't get the player that they wanted. Why is he worried about fucking the Jets when he can't even win games without Tom Brady? He's got his head in the wrong fucking place. He's also made the most egomaniacal move I've ever seen a GM make when he made a defensive coordinator / failed head coach in Matt Patricia and installed him as an offensive coordinator and expected that to work. That's so fucking bad. It's almost laughable. That is so fucking embarrassing. He thought that would work. And that's not a hindsight thing. Everyone saw it coming. So if you get to the root of the issue, if you get to the root of everything the Patriots are currently dealing with, very little of it stems from Bill Belichick, the coach. Almost all of it stems from Bill Belichick, the GM, and it's likely going to get him fired. So that is it. That is my take on Bill Belichick. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Take care, everybody.